Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be taking a look at what the options are for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers regarding their offensive coordinator position, coach, I should say. We already talked about a video earlier today with the breaking news of Dave Canales going from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to taking a head coaching position over with the Carolina Panthers. The first question that is going to be is, what do the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do now at offensive coordinator? And there's more to this ripple effect that we're going to be talking about later today, but this is the first question, is what do the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do at offensive coordinator? So today I want to take a look at all of the different options that I could come up with. I also had my friend Evan Wanish, the co-host of the Cannon Fire podcast, come up with a few options of his own. And we're going to dive right into it. Firstly, the in-house option. There's really only one guy that comes to mind for me, and that is current Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterbacks coach Thad Lewis, who has been with the Buccaneers since the 2021 season. In 2021 and in 2022, he was the assistant wide receivers coach as a part of Bruce Arians' coaching staff, and I guess I should say Byron Leftwich's offensive coaching staff as well. Then he's with Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich last year in 2022. Firstly, that's a bit of a change there, because usually whenever new head coaches come in, you do see some changes with the coaching staff. Did not happen. That could have been the case of Todd Bowles just staying or getting hired, promoted, I guess I should say, late in the process. But then you had Dave Canales come in as OC, and he also wanted to keep Thad Lewis on as the quarterback's coach. Todd Bowles also signed off on that as well. Thad Lewis and Todd Bowles have a pretty deep connection. I believe Pewter Report has talked about Thad Lewis pretty much being the top candidate at this point for the Bucs OC position, but a couple of things to consider. Number one, what is to say that Thad Lewis is not going to go join Dave Canales' coaching staff over in Carolina? Number two, Thad Lewis has been requested to interview for the offensive coordinator position for the Las Vegas Raiders. So that is another thing to consider. Now, I think that if I was Thad Lewis, I would probably consider the Buccaneers spot more than the Panthers or more than the Las Vegas Raiders due to the connection with Todd Bowles, with Bruce Arians, who's still technically a part of the organization, and the chance to have an offense of your own. And I do believe that is somebody that Todd Bowles would heavily consider. One thing I am worried about, I do love the age, 36 years old, a Florida guy in Thad Lewis as well. I think that is absolutely fantastic. He's a Florida guy through and through. But how many coaching connections does Thad Lewis have around the league? Again, only 36 years old, has only been a coach in the NFL since 2021. That's not a lot of time to build up a lot of coaching connections, so to speak. And so that's going to be something that's considered in a potential move, in a potential hire like that, right? I think that's definitely something to consider there, where, how is Thad Lewis going to do as getting those connections? How is Thad Lewis going to do, with that type of change? That is something that you heavily have to consider. And also taking a look at Thad Lewis moving on to other positions as well. Now I want to talk about some of the options that are available that, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers could consider in some way, shape, or form outside options. Firstly, I want to go through the guys that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers interviewed last year for the offensive coordinator position, because I feel like all of these guys may be considered in some way, shape, or form. Firstly, you have Clint Kubiak, the 36-year-old passing game coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers. He's in that Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay type of group. I think he has a bit of an edge over a guy like Thad Lewis because he's been a coach in this league since 2013 in the NFL. And he's been with a lot of different teams, the Vikings, the Broncos, now the San Francisco 49ers. That's a lot of time. He's been an offensive coordinator in the past. He was with the Vikings in 2021, and he did some very, very good stuff under Kevin O'Connell, the head coach of the Vikings. So, Clint Kubiak is one of the top options, in my opinion. Personally, he's one of my top options. He's a guy that has already interviewed with the Buccaneers position last year, has now gotten to work with the San Francisco 49ers, and has also had experience as an OC. So I think that out of the guys that were interviewed last year, Clint Kubiak would probably be the top option there. Can't also discount Keenan McCardell, the Minnesota Vikings wide receiver coach. He has been a guy who has been a coach since 2010, has had a lot of different experience with the Washington Commanders, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Minnesota Vikings, all groups who have had really good wide receivers in the past as well. Former Tampa Bay Buccaneer as well. He won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in 2002. That is another name to consider there. That is another guy that has shown some good experience, would be a first-time play caller, but I remember was one of the favorites last year, could also be one of the favorites yet again this year. You have Scotty Montgomery, the assistant head coach and running backs coach. He was interviewed last year by the Bucs. And look, the Lions are on a roll right now. They're playing in the NFC Championship game. The Bucs just got a great look twice this year at the running ability and the overall assistant head coaching ability of a guy like Scotty Montgomery, only 45 years old. The Bucs played them twice this year. Maybe you could see something like that just because Todd Bowles has gotten a really good look at the running backs and overall what you see in Scotty Montgomery as a potential OC. Shea Tierney is another guy, quarterbacks coach for the Giants. I don't necessarily think he'd be an option right now. He did interview last year, but he's the quarterbacks coach of the Giants right now. Daniel Jones took a big fall off of a cliff this year before he got hurt. Not a great endorsement for Shea Tierney. We'll have to wait and see on that. Similar situation with Ronald Curry, the quarterbacks coach of the New Orleans Saints. He is another guy that was a holdover of the Sean Payton era coaching staff. That might change moving forward because the Saints are going to be another team who are going to have to bring in a new OC now because they moved on from Pete Carmichael. But he could still be an option. He's been in the system of the New Orleans Saints for a while now. He was also an offensive assistant with the San Francisco 49ers I believe it was whenever Jim Harbaugh was there, or it may have been right whenever Kyle Shanahan got in. So he's another guy that you may consider, but also maybe not. Thomas Brown, OC of the Carolina Panthers, formerly, he is obviously getting moved on from because Frank Reich is no longer there. The interim coach is no longer there. If this was last year, I think he would have been a top option. Now, not so much. He had his shot as an OC in Carolina. Things did not go well, and I think the Buccaneers may be out on that. But that's all the people that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers interviewed last year. What are some new names that could be considered? Well, the first guy is Frank Reich, and I like Frank Reich. I know some people may be soured on him, the former head coach of the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to be honest, he won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia as their offensive coordinator. I think he did a great job. He was the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts for a few years. I think he did a solid job there as well. At the age of 62, I still feel like Frank Reich can rebound as a coach in this league and can still contribute to a successful offense and can still coach a successful offense, in my opinion. I think that Philadelphia Eagles Frank Reich is still there. I think that Indianapolis Colts Frank Reich is still there, and he would be a very intriguing option to me. Kellen Moore, former offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Chargers, formerly with the Dallas Cowboys, is their OC. He's been a pretty hot name. Of course, he's going to be available now because the Chargers have now brought in Jim Harbaugh as their new head coach. He's another really interesting guy, man. I really liked Kellen Moore throughout the process. I think he is going to be a guy who could probably get an interview with the Bucs here. Did some really great work with Dak Prescott. Things took a bit of a dip over in Los Angeles, but he's a guy that I think could work with a quarterback, is only 35 years old, and would be a decent option. Brian Johnson, some people may sour on this guy because the Bucs did just play him in the wild card round and beat up on his offense, and he was fired as OC. He was with the Eagles as quarterbacks coach in 2021 and 2022 before being promoted to offensive coordinator, and I don't know. Todd Bowles did get a look at him in the wild card game and also in the regular season as well, very similar to the Scotty Montgomery, option that we had talked about. So I wouldn't discount it, but also I would say that I don't necessarily know if the Bucs may look here. Out of all the guys that I think are outside options that the Bucs didn't interview last year, Zach Robinson's at the top of my list. He is number one, in my opinion. He would be the guy that I would likely hire. Why do I say that? Well, he has been with the Rams since 2019. He is a part of that McVay coaching tree. He is one of those guys that everybody goes out there and goes, oh man, we got to get one of these guys in this mix. He's the next guy on that list. Assistant quarterbacks coach in 2019, assistant wide receivers coach in 2020, back to the assistant quarterbacks coach in 2021. He was the pass game coordinator and quarterbacks coach in 2022. So he's worn a lot of hats. He knows, the Rams offense in and out. It's very similar to the offense that Dave Canales just ran with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, formerly the Seattle Seahawks. He's 37 years old. I think it'd be a fantastic option. I think that he would be my number one guy if I had to name an OC or pick an OC if I was Todd Bowles. Comes from that McVay tree. You've had a lot of success with guys like that, with McVay, Shanahan, Mike McDaniel's in that mix as well. Just all those different West Coast style of guys. I think Zach Robinson could be that next guy. Finally, two names I want to throw out there. Arthur Smith, former Atlanta Falcons head coach, was formerly the OC of the Tennessee Titans. I'm iffy on it, man. I could see it, but I think the Buccaneers should go for a younger face who may get some new opportunities. And I got to bring up Cliff Kingsbury. This is a guy that I like a lot, but does have some heat with Baker Mayfield. Former head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. I think that the Buccaneers should at least give him an interview just to see what the heck is going to happen. But he is also a guy that I would be interested in. Finally, you have Ken Dorsey, former OC of the Buffalo Bills. Did some good stuff before he was OC, and then he got fired from the Buffalo Bills this year. He was OC last year, and things went great. And even when he was fired, the Bills were the top offense in the entire NFL. So it's pretty interesting in my opinion. But Ken Dorsey is another name that I would consider. He is 42 years old. Might be an interesting option in there as well. But folks, it's kind of all the options that I can think of. Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions. I'm a big Zach Robinson guy. I'm a big Clint Kubiak guy as well. But also all those names that I threw out there would be interesting guys in my opinion that I would overall be okay with. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions about this down in the comment section below. Also, Thad Lewis, I think that I would be on board with as well. But again, those are some of the options that are available. Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions. I would love to hear them down in the comment section below. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, guys, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.